Hey guys, it is Friday. Woo! It is actually Friday, April 7th, 2017. And today I wanted to talk about when I actually got diagnosed, when I first started getting sick with ulcerative colitis. I think that's a really important base as far as explaining the journey. So I need to start at the beginning. I think that's very important, and I haven't really touched very heavily on that. So I wanted to go ahead and get started on that. One thing I do want to mention though, tomorrow I am going to be videoing myself. Well, somebody is going to be doing it for me, but I'm going to show myself giving myself a Humira injection. I use the Humira pen, so it's like an EpiPen. So I just wanted to show that because I just figure there's some people out there who may be about to start Humira or who are thinking about starting Humira or a biologic like it that uses a pen or an injection, and I figure it'll help you kind of take away some of the fear about it, or help answer any questions, or just kind of, see how it's done. Again, I'm not a doctor, so, for any deep, in-depth questions, you really need to speak with your doctor in regards to that. However, this will be my second dose, so I'm still in the starter pack of it. The first dose was 2 weeks ago, and I gave myself 4 injections, and tomorrow I'm giving myself 2, and then after that I only have to do 1 injection every other week. So I'll kind of get into that, and that varies from person to person, but that's the dose that I have to give myself. And what I'm going to talk about now is when I actually got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. Now, to kind of set the story up, I was actually working at a very high stress job. I don't know if any of you have ever worked in a call center before, but that's where I was working, and it was an incredibly stressful job, and I didn't like it, and I had been there for 8 years, and it was really bad. And I was also at that time starting to have complications in my marriage. I'm now divorced, but that was just kind of a rough time, and that's all I'll really say about that part of it. But this was in, I got diagnosed June 2011. Now, I started getting sick well before that. I would say, the start of 2011, I started feeling really strange. But because of my job and because of, my personal life, I thought that it was stress. And even when I went to my doctor, they just kind of chalked it up to stress and said, you just have a little bit of indigestion, you'll be fine. But what I was feeling, there was this burning, and I almost described it as like a sizzling feeling deep, deep inside of me. I'm like, it was not a stomach ache. It was just discomfort, and I felt like I would need to be sick, like throw up, and I couldn't. And it was just really hard to describe. And so I think in that difficulty describing what was happening, that made it hard for my doctors to kind of pinpoint, because I really didn't know how to describe it. Up to that point, I had never really been sick, except with the occasional cold. I'd had the flu once. I, had like a headache one time, but I had never gotten really sick. And so to feel something like that was, I didn't know, my body had never felt that way. And I'd always been very in tune with my body. I could tell if I was about to get a cold. I could, just those normal things. However, when this started happening early in 2011, when I started feeling sick, I really felt out of touch with my body. And so when my doctors were telling me that it was just stress, I was like, it probably is. And that could explain why I feel like I don't understand what's happening with my body. I'm losing touch with myself. And so I kind of started doing things like yoga and going for walks and listening to music, doing things to just kind of try to center myself and get reconnected with myself. It wasn't helping. And of course, that's probably what a lot of you come to find out, is that sometimes holistic things really aren't helping you. You know, natural things really aren't helping you because there's something very, very dangerous and very wrong going inside of your body that you just can't overcome. But also saying that, I didn't know what was going on, so that was also a factor. So sometimes holistic approaches work if you actually know what you're trying to fix. Anyway, I went to you know, I kept going to work. And then it finally got to a point where I started missing a lot of work because I got so weak that I couldn't even get out of bed. Now, mind you, this is only about, at this point, it's only about a year after I had had my second child. I have 2 children. And this was a year after I'd had my second child. So, which was my first pregnancy was very easy. It was disgustingly easy. A lot of my female friends hated me for how easy it was. But my second pregnancy was very hard. I was, and again, a lot of times, a lot of it they were saying was stress. So I almost think that things were starting prior to, you know, early 2011. I think it was going as far back as, you know, late 2009 kind of thing. However, well, mid to late 2009. And so you know, I was on bed rest for the last third of my pregnancy, or the last trimester, sorry. For the last trimester of my pregnancy, I was on bed rest. And I was just very sick all the time. My stomach hurt all the time. My body hurt, and I was exhausted. And I mean, beyond any normal exhaustion. And so anyway, I had, fast forward back to May. We're going to skip a couple of me just not feeling good, me feeling like I couldn't get, you know, I wanted to throw up, but I couldn't throw up, and things like that. So we're going to skip to May of 2011. I started missing an extreme amount of work, and I tried to take short-term disability, which I paid for through work, but kept getting denied. Because every time I went to the doctor, at this point in May, the diarrhea started, and it was constant diarrhea. And basically they said diarrhea is not a reason to miss work. And nobody had diagnosed me at that point. So I just had to suck it up. And Imodium wasn't helping. It has never worked for me. However, I ended up going to urgent care because I was starting to have trouble eating, and I started losing a lot of weight. I mean, I was a little bit overweight. I think I weighed about 160 pounds, 170 pounds, and I'm only about 5'3". And so at the time, you know, my doctors were also saying, well, you're overweight, you know, this stress is, you're starting to gain a lot of weight. And then all of a sudden I started losing weight, and I ended up losing, I got down to about 105 by May of 2011. And it was because I couldn't eat. I would try to eat, and my throat would actually close up. It was like, no, don't eat. My body was telling me, this is serious. You have got to, don't eat. Don't eat. You know, you can't. If you eat, it's going to hurt you. And so, you know, that was really strange feeling. I can't even describe, you know, but my body was really pushing me to fight and say, you know, there's something very, very, very wrong here. So I did finally end up going to the doctor, and I didn't have a primary care doctor, so I was just going to just a walk-in clinic. And that's one thing I want to add. I can't stress the importance of getting a primary care provider because they are really going to be your ally. My primary care doctor has been a godsend, a lifesaver. So definitely that's one thing I really encourage everybody to do, is to get a primary care provider, and one that you trust, that's a really good one, because you're going to need them. you're going to need somebody backing you up too. So it's good to have more than one person on your side. So I went to this clinic, and again, the guy said, okay, so you've got, you can't eat, you've got chronic diarrhea, maybe you've got a virus or a bacterial infection or worms or something. He said, let's get a stool sample. And so in the 6-month period of me going to the doctor, this is the first time that they asked me for a stool sample. And then they referred me to a gastroenterologist because there was blood in the stool. And so I went to the gastroenterologist, and the lady sat down, looked at me, looked at my test results, and just talked to me and asked me how I was feeling. And I told her, I said, there's always this deep feeling. I said, it's seriously like something sizzling inside of my body. I said, it's not my stomach though. I said, it's deeper. It's something there that's like, it feels like it's destroying me. And she says, I really feel like you have an inflammatory bowel disease. She said, I'm not sure if it's Crohn's or ulcerative colitis. She said, but it most certainly sounds like an inflammatory and looks like an inflammatory bowel disease. So she right away started scheduling me for colonoscopy, and then referred me to another doctor. So I went to have the colonoscopy done, and right away was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. Now, I know there's like several different types of ulcerative colitis. I don't know specifically which one I have because I just never paid attention, and I don't know. I didn't pay attention, so I apologize. I don't have those specifics. However, they started me straight away on Asacol and prednisone. The prednisone helped tremendously, but I gained all the weight right back because I'd never really had to take anything like that, so I didn't understand. And the doctor really didn't go over with me the effects of prednisone. And so I ate 24/7. I'm telling you, I ate. But I started feeling a lot better, and so that was good. And I didn't even care that I had gained the weight back. I just started feeling better. But I ended up going to work, back to work, and again, they denied my short-term disability, even though I had been going through this treatment and these tests, and I could hardly move. I couldn't drive because I was so weak, and I ended up losing that job, which is ridiculous and unfortunate, but it's a reality for many people with inflammatory bowel disease, is that people don't, it's not just a stomach ache, and it's not just diarrhea. It is unbelievable how little people understand. If you have to go to the bathroom 15 or more times a day with diarrhea, come talk to me about how you're supposed to be a productive employee. I am still waiting for someone to just tell me that. Anyway, it makes me furious that you're just supposed to take Imodium. Okay, yeah, I never thought of that. Thank you for telling me. It's that sort of callousness and absolute disregard for, people disregard this disease and think, you look like you're fine, but you're taking prednisone. Prednisone gives me rosy red cheeks. It boosts my complexion. It makes me all hyper and perky, but I'm still very sick. My body has fake energy, basically. And so it is hard to explain. And, I get sick of explaining it sometimes, but that's part of why I want to do this, because I don't want to hide. I want to talk about it, and I want to have a community where we can talk about it. I mean, sometimes you feel like you're really burdening those around you because you just are like, I'm so tired. I don't feel good. Oh, my stomach hurts. I've been going to the bathroom all day. And you feel like they just don't want to hear it. Everybody's got their own issues and their own problems, and you just feel like you're burdening them. So burden me. I don't care. Please burden me. I want you guys to reply heavily. I really want this to build up. I really want my channel to build up. I want this to be a big thing, and I want us to be a community where we can talk about it and where we can bring awareness to this. Because, you know, doing some posts on Facebook and some, you know, tweets isn't going to do it. We really need to have a face and a voice. And I think that'll make a huge difference. You know, every little thing that we can do, even if it is a Facebook post or a tweet, starting a YouTube diary, you know, have your own channel, do what you can, and what you're comfortable doing. I, you know, just really don't want to see people losing their jobs and being alienated because of this disease, because that's what happens. You kind of go into this weird little bubble, and it's awful. And so I just want to help everybody, and I want to help myself too. I mean, I would be lying if there weren't some selfish reasons. You know, this helps me. It helps me get up and get dressed, and you know, I put lipstick on today and mascara. Look at that. And you know, it helps me to be able to talk about it, even if nobody's listening. So, you know, there's a couple of you out there, and I really appreciate your support so much. But you know, I kind of wanted to touch on when I got diagnosed, and so I'll start to kind of go into more next time. You know, that's the story about how I got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. Now, next time I'll touch on my experience with providers. You know, the doctor that I had at that time, I didn't really see him, but I saw his nurse, and the nurse was wonderful. I still credit her for saving my life, but she left the office and things just fell apart. And now I have a great provider, who's fighting to save my life. So that's what you're supposed to have. And so I hope you all have that kind of support. And, you know, I just want to send my love to you guys. I hope you're feeling well today. And if you're not, I hope you feel better soon. And do your best. Prop your feet up if you can, or whatever feels good. Just do that. Read a book. Watch Golden Girls. That's what I do. And, you know, just be well. And, you know, I'm going to sign off for now and go get ready for the girls to have a sleepover. And it'll be fun. It'll be fun. But I wish you all the best, and talk to you soon. Bye.